A very good evening to you on this 23rd day of October 2023. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Welcome to the Daily Report on your authoritative channel TV47. My name is George Maringa. Catherine Simaloy is on Sign Language Interpretation. And tonight we have a spicy show for you, and you will want to sit and listen to the guest that we have for you, none other than Martha Karua. She has been christened the Iron Lady of Kenyan politics, a veteran political operator of over 2 decades in both the opposition and in government, as a minister in 2 dockets, a formidable presidential candidate in 2013 and the 2022 Azimio la Umoja presidential running mate. At 66 years old, the NARC Kenya party leader says she is not done yet and has in the last few months been leading efforts for an alternative front to champion for the interests of Mount Kenya region. Martha Wangari Karua folks, undeniably a firm, stern and formidable politician who shoots from the hip. Tonight we ask her what Kamwene Forum is all about, her view on issues concerning the country like the bipartisan talks, as you seek to find out if the center in Azimio will still hold. Is she still in Azimio la Umoja? And will the coalition last? No other way to know but to sit tight and brace for impact. That conversation with the one and only Martha Wangari Karua will be coming your way in a short while. We invite you, as always, to join the conversation through X, Twitter at TV47 News, at George Maringa _, or you can tweet her at Martha Karua. Use the hashtag Daily Report. Our SMS line and WhatsApp number is also on your screen as well. But before we speak to the former Gishongo Member of Parliament, here are the highlights. Tonight, showdown as Nairobi County UDA MCAs execute what some are terming a palace coup that ends up with a new minority leader and whip. Is there trouble in the capital?
Leadership that has been in place has demonstrated inadequacies that have negatively affected service delivery to the people of Nairobi.
KCSE 2023 national exam begins amid concerns about cheating. Plus, bipartisan talks committee retreats to Gilgil to draft a final report on the talks. This even as NARC Kenya party leader Martha Karua leads the formation of another group dubbed Kamwene Unity Forum. And speaking of Martha Karua, join us at 9:30 p.m. for a scorching interview with the so-called Iron Lady of Kenyan politics. Indeed, a lot is making the headlines tonight. Stand by also for that conversation in a short while. My name is George Maringa. Catherine Simala is on Sign Language. The National Dialogue Committee team met today in Gilgil, Nakuru County, in a bid to write their final report after the protracted talks, a report to be presented to the President. Even as this happens, enigmatic rumblings have been felt within the Azimio One Kenya coalition following the move by NARC Kenya party leader Martha Karua alongside other senior leaders to launch the Kamwene Leadership Forum. Chichi Josephine opens our broadcast tonight with that report.
The National Dialogue Committee team met at the Lake Elementite Lodge on Monday to write a report days after agreeing on some thematic issues. In a notice of motion presented by National Assembly leader Kimani Ichung'wah, the committee wants to present its report to President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga on or before November 26th. At the same time, Ndindi Nyoro, a close ally to President William Ruto, has dismissed the ongoing bipartisan talks as a waste of time, claiming that Kenyans went to the polls last year and chose who they want to lead them.
The people of Kenya, the citizens of Kenya have actually no time for those talks. the people of Kenya want all the leaders to do their job.
The legislator lashed out at those threatening to walk out from the talks, noting that he does not recognize the talks.
Yesterday we saw the opposition leaders in Kitegela giving threats, purporting to give threats that they are going to walk out of the talks, the ongoing talks. We want to tell them it is even a favor that you are engaging in those talks.
These even as Na Kenya Party leader Martha Karua and Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni officially launched the Kamwene Leadership Forum, a caucus they say will be promoting interest from the Mount Kenya region.
Kamwene is a caucus of the people of the mountain. Basically 14 counties, mountain and diaspora. And it is for us to talk about our interests, political, economic, socio-cultural.
We are now paying dearly as a community. We have seen very punitive decisions taken by the current regime, and we cannot see any light at the end of the tunnel. It's for that reason that we have come together as people from the same region to think together and forge one common approach, both economically and politically.
The leaders, however, say they are still strong members of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition.
We are talking about the unity of the people of Mount Kenya. And Kalonzo Musyoka is our brother. We are in Azimio to stay.
This comes 5 days after opposition member of parliament threatened to paralyze House business if changes to remove Deputy Minority Whip Sabina Chege are not effected.
When we are here, sijui mnamuita Papa wa Roma, ama Roma Papa, when he has refused to implement a very simple thing that Sabina is not our choice as Azimio to whip. He is already whipping for UDA. Mtu ameenda kwa nyumba ingine kulala na unaendelea kusema ni mtu yenyu. Hatuwezi kubali hayo.
Chichi, Josephine TV47.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. The Kenya National Examination Council has warned exam center managers against sharing confidential information relating to KCSE exams which have kicked off today. Those who will not comply will attract punishment as spelled out in the NEC Act. And as Andrin Kilemi now reports, more than 3.5 million candidates will sit for national examinations this year, including Kenya Primary School Education, that is KPSEA, the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE, and the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education KCPE.
It was all systems go early Monday as candidates across the 10,651 examination centers across the country sat the first of their KCSE practical examination papers. The practical exams include orals for French, German, Arabic, Kenyan Sign Language and music. This amid a stern warning from the Kenya National Examination Council to all center managers against sharing confidential material and information relating to national exams. Those who will not comply will face imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months or a fine exceeding 500,000 shillings or both. 260,000 candidates have been registered for this year's KCSE. More than 3.5 million candidates will sit for national examinations this year, including the 1.2 million KPSEA candidates and the 1.4 million KCPE candidates. Currently, NEC is working to ensure there will be no cases of malpractice in the 2023 national exams. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Thank you, Andrin, for that, and our best wishes to all the candidates. The ruling party, United Democratic Alliance, UDA, has appointed Waithera Chege as the new minority leader at the Nairobi County Assembly to replace embattled Anthony Kirago. At the same time, the party also appointed Joyce Muthoni as the new minority whip to replace Mark Mugambi in what appears to be a palace coup after the ruling party's cohort at the county assembly. UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala has on Thursday this week convened a crisis meeting to address problems at hand. Mike Kagwango reports.
Barely a year in office as the minority leader and minority whip, Anthony Kirago and his counterpart Mark Mugambi were this morning ousted from City Hall leadership on grounds that they have failed to execute their mandate as expected. Via a letter to the County Assembly Speaker in compliance with Standing Order number 21 of the Nairobi County Assembly, Nairobi South Ward MCA Waithera Shere was appointed as minority leader to be deputized by Githurai Ward MCA Dionysius Mwangi. Nominated MCA Joyce Modoni was also appointed the new minority whip to replace Mark Mugambi, while Clay City MCA Samora Mwaura was appointed deputy minority whip.
We've been able to hear from our side, and we were able to go to the party and expressed ourselves, and they respected our decision.
The aforementioned ward representatives revealed they had gathered 35 signatures to remove Anthony Kirago and Mark Mugambi from their seats. Both leaders were charged with putting their own interests ahead of the requirements of the ruling party's followers.
Out of the 52 members, 35 appended their signature. And today we are glad to say that our party, which is a democratic party, responded positively.
We have been studying the conduct of the said leadership and established that they were no longer neither committed to serve the interests of the party nor Nairobians at large.
The embattled MCAs now want Nairobi City County Deputy Governor to respect Governor Sakaja's leadership and stop fight against his development projects.
Nasema wako na signature sijui ngapi kutoka mrengo huo mwingine. Wakihesabu hizo, watoanishe hizi.
Personally myself, I've had 2 invitations by very senior members of the UDA government, my bosses, somewhere in Karen. They have invited me twice and asked me to start a battlefront for Governor Johnson Sakaja for undisclosed reasons.
Following the wrangles, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala has on Thursday this week convened a crisis meeting to address problems at hand where respective MCAs shall decide on their leadership. The SG emphasized that the secretariat of the party will listen to all sides of the argument before making a decision rather than taking a position.
Itafata yale ambayo wengi watakuwa wameamua. Na kama wengi wataamua kwamba wako na confidence na uongozi wao, basi wataendelea kufanya kazi na sisi tutawarecognize kama MCAs na kama viongozi wetu.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. To health matters, and the launch of the universal health coverage during Mashujaa Day celebrations last week has sparked numerous reactions among key stakeholders in the health sector, with many wondering if it is just another launch. Here is our reporter Zainab Mohammed with more.
According to KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela, despite the big launch last week, the dysfunctional state of healthcare is still as it was prior to the launch.
When something is launched, for example, if I launched a rocket, the rocket will definitely fly to the space. When we launch the universal healthcare, it means that if a patient goes to public hospitals today, they need to get care. But that is not the situation. If you go to the public hospital today, there are still no doctors, there are still no nurses, there are still no commodities. In fact, the dysfunctional public healthcare that has been in existence is still in existence.
The unionist says the 4 new health bills signed into law are progressive and could lead to the betterment of healthcare services in the country. However, the challenge comes about in its implementation.
Yes, these were not there when the previous launches took place. But if you look down in the financial budget of 2020-2021, there was 67 billion on universal healthcare. If you look at 2022-2023, there was 47 billion on universal healthcare. It's only this median budget of Kenya Kwanza that has 18 billion, meaning that they've invested less funds to the universal healthcare as compared to the previous budgets. His
sentiments echoed by fellow unionists across the country who want the government to equip hospitals with both health commodities and workers in order for the UHC program to succeed.
Ni sio tu kusaini miswada ambazo zitatupa nafasi ya kusema kwamba tunazo miswada za serikali. Kila ambacho tunataka kuona ni kwamba Rais William Ruto angekuja peupe na atuambie ya kwamba kwa serikali yake mwaka huu ametenga hela pesa kiasi gani kwa zile miswada ambazo zimesainiwa. Je, kila mswada ambao yafaa ufanyiwe kazi katika counties, kila mswada umewekewa rasilimali kiasi gani?
Ningeomba tafadhali waweze kuemploy more nurses, more health professionals ili waweze kuroll out this program in an effective way. Na pia tungependa kuongelea health financing kidogo, kwamba pesa iongezwe katika health sector. Tumeona pesa katika health sector budget iko kidogo sana, na tungeomba serikali ya county na national iweze kuongeza pesa.
With very little civic education conducted on UHC, Kenyans remain clueless about the program, with many of them unsure about the 3 new funds and how the new contributions will impact their pockets.
NHIF kama ingekuwa inasaidia, ni isaidie mwananchi wote. Sio tuseme kuna mtu mwenye ako na kiwango kikubwa na mwenye ako kiwango kidogo. Sababu hata kuna mtu hata kupata shilingi moja kununua ile kitu inaitwa aspirin ni ngumu. So ile kitu tungependa rais aweke kila kitu iwe maximum kwa kila mtu.
Ukiambiwa ununue ulipe shilingi 500, utatoa wapi? Na hata hiyo bima ya afya ukienda pale na NHIF utakuta kwamba hakuna madawa, hakuna nini. Sisi tutasaidika namna gani? Kwa hivyo mtukufu rais, angalia hiyo maneno. Kenya sio kuzuri, kuna shida na sio shida kidogo.
Zainab Mohamed, TV47.
Thank you, Zainab. Now to some good news here, and it is a big win for media houses in the country after the High Court quashed the decision of the Communications Authority that censored 6 local TV stations for covering opposition-led demonstrations on the 20th of March this year. The court has further ordered the Communication Authority to review its programming code for broadcasting services, as Moige William now tells us.
It is a big win for TV47, Citizen TV, KBC, NTV, K24 and Ebru TV after High Court judge sitting in Nairobi annulled the directive issued on the 22nd of March for media houses not to cover live Azimio-led demonstrations by the then former Communication Authority Director General Ezra Chiloba, accusing media houses of contravening broadcasting regulations. In the order by Communication Authority, argued that in line with Section 46AK of the Kenya Information and Communication Act, employs the authority to ensure compliance with broadcasting regulations and monitor compliance with broadcasting media standards, as well as Regulation 19(1)(c) and D of Kenya Information and Communication Act Broadcasting Regulations 2009, which require license of broadcasting services to ensure that no broadcast by its stations glorifies violence or depicts violence in an offensive manner or is likely to incite, perpetuate hatred, vilify any person or section of the community. In the ruling by Justice John Chigiti, the court said Regulation 19A, B, C and D of the Kenya Information and Communication Broadcasting Regulations 2009 unconstitutionally limits the freedom of expression, media and information in vague and overboard terms contrary to Article 22, 34 and 35 of the Constitution. Justice Chigiti further ordered that the programming code for broadcasting services in Kenya 2019 has expired and is of no legal effect under 46H2B of the Kenya Information and Communication Act 2009 and Section 11(1) and 4 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013, as a result of which Clause 10.2.1 of the programming code does not sustain the Communications Authority's decision. The court has issued an order compelling the Communication Authority to review the programming code for broadcasting services in Kenya 2019 under Section 46H2B of the Kenya Information and Communication Act 2009. Moige William, TV47.
Thank you for that, Moige William. Now, farmers in the Central Rift are now calling on the national government to promote the production of indigenous crops and ensure access to seeds to mitigate effects of climate change. The over 500 farmers under the Makongo Agriculturalists Network Forum further want both levels of government to come up with policies that will secure the sovereignty of Kenya's indigenous seeds in a bid to conserve the indigenous seeds variety. Chichi Josephine with more.
While petitioning the state to address a shortage of indigenous seeds and food, the farmers called on the national and county governments to put in place systems to identify and document all Kenyan seed varieties to protect and preserve this unique heritage and boost food security. Mr. Ngiri, who is the group's spokesperson, said the conservation and use of traditional crop varieties provides a wealth of genetic crop diversity and should be recognized as critical to climate change adaptation.
Geomba serikali ikuje na mwafaka ya kutusaidia ama watuulize maoni wanapoweka hizi sheria za mbegu, kwa sababu ni very expensive kuregister mbegu ambayo unaweza uza. Kwa hivyo what we are doing now ni kujaribu ku-exchange mbegu ile traditional way. Hatuwezi fanya hivyo commercially, itabidi tukate license which is very expensive, so we afford kulipa 2 million for one variety.
Ngiri claims that while more than 80% of small-scale farmers in the country rely on the traditional seed sector, the country's seed laws and regulations do not recognize the informal seed sector.
Tunazipea wakulima, wanaenda pia wana multiply, na pia tunawafunza jinsi ya kusave, hao wenye watachagua hizo mbegu na kuzisafisha.
Sisi ni wakulima ya kutaka watoto wetu wawe wamesoma ili mambo ya mashoshi yetu isipotee. Ndio sisi tuendelee na kutengeneza mbegu na kueneza, tunauza mbegu hata nje.
Ukiangalia area hii yetu ni sehemu ambayo inakaa kame, kwa hivyo hivi vyakula huwa vinafanya vizuri zile za kiasili.
The network is also promoting use of traditional methods of farming to smallholder farmers, which is pesticide-free and less costly, to enable them participate in farming practices to increase their household incomes, while at the same time improve their nutritional status.
Na wakulima wataweza kukuza chakula yao iwe organic, iwe mzuri kwa miili yao, na pia wataweza kukuza chakula bila hiyo hustle ya kutafuta fertilizer.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
To some business news, and fair trade certified tea factories have been challenged to invest in production of quality teas right from farm level to keep up with changing market dynamics and get premium payment for their product. The International Certification Body's Continental Committee member teas especially are a hot commodity in the international market, and Kenya would get better negotiating power with an upgrade in standards, potentially making the country a market leader in the world of trade. He furthermore advocated for employing qualitative marketing strategies to forge ties with long-term customers.
I think it's also a matter of increasing the quality and making consumers aware that if you're buying slightly more expensive tea, that you're drinking something better. And it's also about telling the story where your tea is coming from. That's what millennials want to hear. They want to know the story behind their cup of tea. And it's Fairtrade Africa and the producers that need to do everything together with the buyers and the retailers and the packers. These people need to be on the same line and tell really that story.
We are gearing our efforts towards improving on quality, improving on packaging of our teas. We have been challenged because our teas is quite traditional. We have been challenged to add value to our teas. That's the way we are doing. We have already started by doing value-added teas, by doing, like, we have ginger tea, we have masara tea, which was not there initially. And with that, we believe we are adding value to our teas.
Now, Kenya's population is set to almost double by 2050, where physical jobs will not keep up with the rapid growth. EcoBank has now moved to endorsing digital learning, especially for children within the development years, to equip them for online jobs to alleviate the ballooning rates of unemployment in the country. EcoBank's head of corporate communications, Vincent Musumba, says such initiatives led by private institutions will bridge the gap between school training and field requirements for workers, improving efficiency and increasing work retention. He said this as the bank donated computers worth 800,000 Kenya shillings with the intention of setting up an IT lab.
Currently, and it's set to be finalized in the next few days, we are donating 25 HP all-in-one computers The computer lab has a capacity of 25, so at least at any given time, 25 students from this home will be able to utilize those computers that we've donated today. For the year 2024 academic year, we will educate at least 7 students throughout the entire high school, at least the first year in high school. And then the following year, which is basically 2025, we'll also take in a good number. And then 2026 also will take in a good number.
This is a changing movement, connecting our children to digital, because by connecting them to digital, it is connecting them to the future. We thank God because we are aligning ourselves with the digital era, whereby our children can work on their own.
Let's get sporty now, and Posta Rangers head coach John Kamau has said his side's main objective this season is to finish in the top 4 positions, despite them going down 3-1 against Talanta FC. Rangers are still on top of the league, 16 points, 1 point ahead of defending champions Gor Mahia.
Kwanza nawashukuru kwa kukaa. I think hii season I think kwanza kabisa nitashukuru management. Hao ndo tulikaa nao chini tukawaambia if things have to change lazima ianze nao. Tukawaambia vitu tulikuwa tunahitaji, motivation venye ingefaa, alafu management pia ika live up to their work na wakatuambia itakuwa sawa, and then after season kuanza vitu zikakuwa sawa, so vijana wakakuwa tu motivated juu kuna kakitu from the management.
I don't want to start with this season because I think this season is a reflection of last season, and I think last season, despite finishing the 12th position in the log, I think we had a good process. Because first of all, we won the Kikoso tournament last season, and this season again we started our pre-season with the Kikoso tournament. We also retained the Kikoso tournament. So from there, I think bringing on board several players that we felt that we needed, I think it has been a booster to the team.
Now, South Sudanese Peter Majur registered a total 5.5 points with a tiebreaker after to be crowned as this year's edition of Mombasa Open Championship held at the picturesque Mombasa Beach Hotel. In a showdown for the ages, Peter Majur Manyang and Martin Joroge of KCB Chess Club proved themselves unbeatable, both amassing a staggering 5.5 out of 6 points in a neck-and-neck race. But in the end, it was Majur's superior tie-break performance that earned him the title of 2023 Mombasa Open Chess Champion. With his strategic wizardry and unwavering consistency, he emerged victorious in a nail-biting contest. In the ladies section, the incredibly talented Joyce Nyarwai of KCB Chess Club finished the tournament unbeaten with an astonishing 5.5 points out of 6. Nyarwai's unmatched skills showcased her individual brilliance and added an extra layer of drama to the competition. Now, Amar Shah and Aidan Gashora both scored 78 points, forcing the first playoff of the day in the U.S. Kids Golf event held at the Sigona Golf Club. The boys' 12-year category has become a fierce battle between Amar Shah and Aidan Gashora, who have won the last 4 competitions. The two were still level after the first playoff hole, with Aidan Gashora winning the second playoff hole for his second consecutive tournament win in the U.S. Kids Local Tour.
The playoff was quite good. It was not that easy, but I tried my best and I made the putt. The person I was going against is my close friend, and it was kind of hard watching him lose. So
probably this one, because front nine I had a tough time. Last tournament, both nines were quite simple. It was just like last time I had an 8 last tournament. But this night, this course is much harder, much more difficult.
I played 79 strokes, and yeah, I was doing well with my short game, which saved a lot of pars for me. I was nervous, really nervous. I've lost all my